Today we're going to make a yummy chicken pot pie in the brick oven. Welcome to my brick oven lifestyle. So the first thing you want to do with the chicken pot pie is get your cast iron skillet nice and hot. This is a 10-inch cast iron skillet that I'm using to cook the veggies in. And I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of oil. And I am just simply going to stick it into the brick oven, which is at a temperature of 400 degrees right now. And I'm going to leave it in there for probably 5-10 minutes until it's nice and hot. Okay, so the next step is to make a thickening sauce that we'll use for the filling of our chicken pot pie. So I just take a half a cup of all-purpose flour and a cup of chicken broth and 1 cup of whole milk. Now you take these 3 ingredients and you just take a little whisk or a fork if you wanted, and you just want to blend this up good. There, it's nice and smooth now. And that's what we want. So I'm just going to set this aside and we'll get ready for our other ingredients we're going to put together. Okay, next thing I'm going to do now is take that warm cast iron skillet out, and we're going to use this little burner. I can cook everything in the brick oven, except you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing really well, so I decided to use this little single burner and show you how I combine everything, and then we'll end up cooking it all in the brick oven. So I'll take the skillet out next. And it's super hot, which is what we want. Then I'm going to turn this onto medium-high heat. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get the onions in. It's going to start to sizzle right away. So we're going to do probably about 2 minutes with onions. It was a cup of onions, a cup of carrots, a cup of chopped celery. Okay, and that's cooking really nicely. And again, if I didn't have the burner right now, the skillet would start to cool down. And it wouldn't be warm enough to show you how to do this without using the brick oven. So again, it's going to be about 2 minutes until I get these. I'm not trying to cook them all the way through. I'm just trying to get the flavor to come out of them a little bit more by sweating the vegetables. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now next, I'm just going to push it off to the side so that I can put some chicken in. I have a cup of chicken, just breast meat, that I'm putting in. I cut it also in small pieces. It's going to cook more evenly again if it's smaller pieces. I notice especially with the carrots, you want to keep them small, or they sometimes don't quite seem like they're completely cooked through. Now it's starting to smell really good. You smell the veggies, and I'm also starting to smell that chicken cooking. So now I can just combine it. Next comes the peas. These were frozen peas, but I thawed them and made sure there wasn't a lot of moisture left in them. I'm going to put them out on a little paper towel so they're nice. You don't want to end up having this get too liquidy. And the peas aren't going to take very long to cook. That's why you don't really give them a whole lot of time in here. Now, remember that thickener that we made with the flour and the stock and the milk? We're going to pour that right on top. And that's gonna take away the sizzle right away. And at this point, I'm just gonna try to get it to a point where it starts to bubble a little bit. It's gonna start thickening. I'm putting just a dash of pepper in and about 3/4 teaspoons of some salt. I usually use sea salt. You can really see it's thickening up at this point. All right, I'm going to turn my heat off. All right, that looks really good. That's what you want for a pot pie right there. I'm going to set it aside while I make my pie crust top. Okay, the last thing we need to mix up is our pie crust. This one I like because it doesn't have any butter in it. So if you want to try to make a crust that's a little bit healthier, here's a really good recipe to use. I use 1.25 cups of all-purpose flour, and then 1/3 cup of oil, and 1/3 cup of milk. We're going to throw in 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to mix this together until it turns into a crumble. So I like to use a fork for this. You can use a spoon, something else, but I find that a fork works really well. And I'm just going to stir it. I'm trying to pull the flour from the sides of the bowl and the bottom of the bowl. And then it turns into, like this crumble, and that's what you're looking for. That's what I want. All right, flour this just a little bit. Flour my surface so it's not going to stick, especially in the warm weather we're having. And this is a type of dough where you're just going to mold it together. I'm just trying to form a ball out of it. Get it to kind of stick to itself. That looks pretty good. And get 2 pieces of wax paper with this. So you're going to put a little bit of flour on the bottom of this and then put your crust on top. And then just a little bit of flour on the top. This isn't real sticky, so I'm not going to have to use too much. All right, then take my second piece of my wax paper. This is a really nice way to roll out a crust. Keep it from sticking to everything. And then a rolling pin. And I'm trying to get it as thin as I can, and also to about a 12-inch round crust. And it takes just a little bit of time to get this rolled out good. Once I get it one way, I stretched out, I turn it the opposite way and start rolling. And when I start getting close to where I think it's as big as it needs to be, I can just simply check it with my pan I'm going to be using. This is a Lodge pan that I found. I like this pie pan. It works well in the brick oven. So I just check it. I need to go a little bit bigger with it still, because you want it to be a little bit larger than the pan's rim. Better to have it just a little bit too big than definitely a little bit too small. All right, now I'm going to check it one more time with this. Okay, that looks good. I have just a little bit of overhang all the way around. Now it's time to combine all these ingredients we've been working on, so I'm going to put the filling into our pie dish that we're using today. All right, and there's it's the yummy filling. My arms are really getting a workout today. I'm just going to drop this down because I can't hold it up for too long. Get all the filling out of the bowl. And I'm just going to even it out. Just make sure you put an egg wash. I use 1 egg and a teaspoon of water with it. and you want to put it around the rim of the bowl that you're using. This helps to seal that crust on when you put the crust on, because when it's bubbling and cooking in the brick oven, it wants to come apart, so it's important to seal it. We just want to make sure we get that egg wash all the way around so that it seals really nicely with the pan. All right, and that looks pretty good. Now take the crust that we made. The bottom side's a little wrinkled up here. I'm going to take this wax paper off. We're done with that. Now my arm is clean. I'm going to take this piece of crust and I'm just going to drape it over my arm. It's the easiest way I've found. I'm just going to drape it over the top. So any excess that I have hanging over the edge, I'm just going to take my knife and just trim it. Just cut it, just to make it look nice. Cut it evenly through here. There, and now I'm going to use a fork and I'm just going to flute it. This is the way I see a lot of pot pies. It's easy. It just looks so much nicer when you do something like this. Let's try to get here. I just go all the way around the rim. Definitely gives it that pot pie look. Next thing we do is finish the top with the egg wash. This is going to give it a nice golden brown color. So don't be skimpy on the egg wash. Get it over everything. It gives it a shiny coat when it's all done. Then the last thing you need to do, put some holes in this to give it a place for the air to come bubbling out. So I put about around 12 holes in this with just a sharp knife edge. That looks pretty good. I'm going to put this pot pie into the brick oven. The brick oven is at 400 degrees right now. I want to bake it for right around 25 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer toward the end, and I'll rotate it if it's starting to get more brown on one side than the other. All right, looks good. That's what we want. Bubbled up a little bit in the middle, kind of browned. That's what we want. Now we need to get some on a plate so we can try it out. Vegetables are cooked just right, chicken's cooked just right, and the crust is nice and flaky, so I'll definitely be making this one again. If you enjoy our videos and like the brick oven lifestyle, please feel free to subscribe so we can send you new videos and updates.